Thank you for joining us in another episode of the Embrace podcast. Now, we have today a very important guest that is different to the first three that you've listened to so far. Who is he? He is a psychologist who's experienced himself childhood trauma that could have impaired his whole career. But he is so persistent. He believed in himself so much that these early challenges he faced didn't prevent him from becoming who he is today. Can you understand not having the ability to speak when you were very young and now you can speak 4 languages? This is the story of Pascal Nery Jean. Pascal is a psychologist and he studied back in the Dominican Republic where he wanted to do education but had to deal with psychology first. He didn't give up on his dream of becoming an educator, a social carer, and more importantly, an educational psychologist. He went on to Spain, where he did a master in educational psychology, and went back to Haiti to serve his community, where he invested his own money to build a center that welcomes more children that may have mental disorder or mental trauma and help parents shift the perspective using scientifically proven approaches that determine where the children are from a mental health perspective and what we need to do to make sure that they get back to who they want to be. We thank you for taking the time to listen to this podcast. As always, while not taking your cup of tea, glass of water, or whatever drink you like, and stay tuned to welcome our guest, Pascal. Thank you. Pascal, welcome to the Embrace podcast. We were very happy when we heard you were willing to join the session to discuss a topic that is hugely important for people across the globe, but mostly the work that you're doing in Haiti make it even more compelling to have this conversation today. On behalf of my team, I want to thank you for taking the time today to talk to us. We're going to have a fantastic conversation about your work in Haiti as a psychologist, but mostly in terms of how you've helped people to overcome specific mental issues that they've encountered throughout their life, let it be women, men, children, and any other gender that we have in the country. So welcome to the podcast. And how do you feel today, Pascal?
I'm feeling happy. Thank you very much for the invitation. I'm glad to be there and hope that would be a conversation that people will learn more about psychology, inclusion, and what I'm doing in Haiti.
That is phenomenal. Thank you again, Pascal. Now, your journey into psychology and inclusion began before the titles and roles. What first inspired you to work with children and vulnerable families, especially in Haiti?
So I have to talk a little bit about my childhood so you can understand my choice to be a psychologist. So when I was little, people think that I was dumb because I had difficulty to speak and I had to go to a special school named APA. During that period of time, so I meet with speech therapists. I was really lucky that my parent was kind of educated, so they understand my situation and they look for help. But this is not really the case for many Haitian. They don't really understand about mental health. They don't really understand about psychology. So when kids have speech delay or other neuroatypical disorder, they usually think that is a curse. They don't really think that if a kids have like special needs, that kid have to go to specialists as psychologists, etc. So I was really lucky that my parents designed that environment, designed people telling things like that. They were educated enough to understand that I need support and help, and I've been blessed to receive those support. So it was I did my primary school in adaptive setting, and I went to do secondary school in regular schools. But when I had to choose what I went to study, so my first thing was education. So I went to Dominican Republic and I do my registration in a university, but they didn't have education. They had the bachelor degree in education, but they had to close it because nobody went to do education at that time because it's like they think that they cannot have a lot of money from that degree. I decide if I cannot do education, I will do psychology because they have some connection because this is how I decided to be to study psychology because of my personal difficulties. I always wanted to do something where I can come back to Haiti and support and help other kids so more people can know about that and more people can understand that if I can speak English now, I had difficulty to speak even Creole or French, so I have like a lot of difficulty in speaking. And if I can graduate from high school, do everything that I did, I think that can inspire other kids and their parents to understand if they provide the specific support to their kid can move forward in its set in life.
It's it is a very courageous story that you just shared, and I can relate to that story a little bit because when I was a kid, I also had difficulty to speak. I don't recall entirely what happened, but my mom used to share a similar story. So they were scared that I wouldn't be able to talk because you could see my mouth moving, but you wouldn't understand what I was saying. So now that you share your story about how this could have been linked to some sort of mental health or something that was happening in my mind, but the most fascinating part of your story is how you use unfortunate circumstance of
Yeah,
your childhood and turn it into something where you really want to understand and support other people who might face similar situation. And that's how you ended up doing psychology.
yeah, this is how. Yes, and I dedicate my life. I did better in college than the way that I was in high school. So I graduated with cum laude with honors, and I did
Mm-hmm.
my specialization in Spain. And as I mentioned to you, my interest was always education. When I graduated, so I was looking for opportunity in Spain. I did a scientific master degree in educational psychology. So I have also a clinical and health psychology degree, but I guarantee myself that I didn't a specialization in educational psychology. When I done with all my study between Dominican Republic and Spain, so I spent like 8 years out of Haiti between Dominican Republic and Spain. So I have to make a choice: come back to Haiti or go to another Latin American country. Because when you study in Spain, you have a lot of door that can open for you in Latin American country. My parents, they were really against me coming back to Haiti because they understand the challenge that we have in Haiti. Haiti is like a circle. You have a calm period and you have a rush period.
Mm-hmm.
But with all the knowledge that I get from Spain, Dominican Republic, and the experience that I had there, I really see myself in Haiti because I had that feeling that I have to come back to Haiti to make a difference
Mm-hmm.
and to be an advocate for those kids that we have a lot of people that can advocate for the kid with special needs. And that's the reason that I came back to Haiti and I dedicate my life to work with special needs and to vulnerable family and vulnerable communities. Yeah. So first, I start to work with an NGO. But I find that I didn't have the opportunity to do what I really learn and what I really want to do. So that's the reason I left the NGO. And in Haiti, you don't have a lot of job opportunity. But I feel like I wanted to do more than just be there and have a job like a psychology, but they don't really use my potential. And I feel like I have that necessity also to have a better understanding about the struggle that kids have in Haiti. When I left the NGOs, I started to work with street kids so I can have a better understanding about the culture. I have that lack of information about the reality that Haitian really live
Mm-hmm.
and the perception of Haitian about mental health. So I did a lot of years trying to search and learn more about Haitian culture, Haitian perception of mental health. The way that what they're doing with their kids, working in remote areas. So I work in Marché des Salines, Jacmel, Petit Goave, a lot of little activities so I can be more in contact with the population, have a better understanding about their needs and necessity. And I start teaching at the university that make me more aware about what mental health mean in Haiti and what kind of situation the kids are facing. Those situations, they're really different from on country like Spain, they're really different from America. I decided to create a center for the kids with special needs. So at the beginning, it was really a hard thing to do. My parents didn't understand what I was doing because when you're talking about autism, ADHD, and all those things in Haiti, people didn't really understand. So a lot of um, awareness in the media and in some
Mm.
school with medical doctor, the pediatrician, so they understand better neurodiversity. So the first 3 years, I was using my money from other job to cover the operation of the center because I create an application in the therapy with a practice partner, Pascal Jean Nery. She's a psychologist also. So we really went to make a difference and to build something new in Haiti.
Mm.
Because when you mention psychology in Haiti, they don't see that someone can have success in psychology. So you never think about psychology as a lawyer, medical doctor,
Mm.
businessman. So you don't
Yeah.
think about psychology that way. There's a lot of people with a bachelor degree in psychology, but they do other things. It was really important for me to break that stigma about psychology so they start understanding that you can create things with psychology, make a living with that. That has been a fight for me. This year, we're gonna have 10 years with the center. The first years was really hard. And after that, people start coming. We start receiving a lot of referral from kids and school, pediatrician, and we start having more stability. We have a staff, we can meet payroll.
Mm-hmm.
I can have my own payroll from that business, my associate also. We still have other activities because you cannot really live by that. But it was a success for me. And we have mental health services in Haiti. I mean, most of those mental health services they are provided by NGO. For me, it was really important to be sustainable. They have to understand that this is something that have a lot of value. This is something for my kids, and I have to invest in my kids. I want those students to understand that it's really important to have a job to have more stability, but they can think about what they can create with each other
Go
to
ahead.
offer services to the population where where they can make a living from that. So that was really important for me. At the end, I'm really happy with everything that I did with that center. Because I was doing that, some people asked me to become the president of the Asian Association of Psychology.
Mm-hmm.
So that this is when I start to work voluntary. It's a pro bono thing, so you don't get paid to be a president of an association. It's something that you do
Mm-hmm.
because you like it. Want to support, promote mental health, well-being, raise awareness, make people
Mm-hmm.
better understand about all those things. I didn't get paid for it, but I invest my time, my energy, and I think that helped the association go further from what it was before. And all those things build the person that I am today. And I'm really proud. Sometimes I have that feeling, should I stay in Spain? Should I go to Latin America? Because sometimes when you are living in Haiti, we cannot really make a long-term plan because there's a
Mm-hmm.
lot of instabilities. But either way, I think making impact, even if it's little, in one area in your life, making people dream and making some family happy because their kids is making progress, making the student understand that they have a lot of potential, they can do a lot of things is more important than having money and living in a big country. For me, that was what led me to 18.
Oh, there's a lot to unpack, Pascal. You moved from a childhood trauma. Your parents, thankfully, they
Yeah.
were aware enough to get you the medical assistance that you needed to make sure that you get your speech back. Because obviously, between 4 and 5, and you still cannot speak, it's probably something linked to your brain, right? And from that experience, you finally learn how to speak. And by the way, congratulations, because you can speak at least 3 languages now.
I speak Spanish
Speak.
fluently, French, and English.
That is very successful for someone who had a speech issue when they were a kid, and you are now a polyglot. So it's not something to take lightly. And more importantly, you wanted to help. So you went to Dominican Republic, although you wanted to study education because you truly think
Yeah.
this is something that can benefit your community. Unfortunately, they didn't have that option. Then you went with psychology, but still you didn't forget about the purpose you had in education. So when
Yeah.
you went to Spain, you still had your master's in educational psychology, right? This
Yeah.
is what I'm hearing from your story,
Yeah.
which means that, yes, in the first place, you didn't get what you wanted. You pivoted. Then, once you reached Spain, you tried to connect what you already had with what you wanted to have. And I think that's a very powerful story, especially for people listening, because sometimes you might want something, but because of the opportunities that are presented to yourself, you might need to prioritize plan B, but it doesn't mean you forget about plan A. Now,
Yeah.
plan B would give you a much more solid foundation. So when it comes to having your original plan A, you're a lot more prepared, which is what I believe happened in Spain when you have your educational
Mhm.
psychology. And you even went further by investing money in your passion, because it's not something that's easy to use your income and invest in your purpose, because
Yeah,
it's
it's really
kind of a
weird.
hard.
It's really weird. It's really weird. It's really
This
weird.
is really
So
weird,
people think
right?
that I was crazy, but I think sometimes you have to pursue your dream.
Agreed. So for me, this is very powerful. After 3 years investing in that center, you have enough money and you are helping other children. And that's really interesting how you are showing parents that neurodiversity is important. It's not, you help parents believe in that. So that's again something really powerful. So you shift the narrative to science. You
Yeah.
change people's perspective. Now they take their children to you to understand more about what's happening. Let it be problem with the species or something else. And that's why I'm going to ask you questions regarding those communities. So how do communities benefit when they embrace rather than stigmatize neurodiversity?
I think we have a lot of benefit from inclusion. For example, right now I'm the executive director of an NGO in the north.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, one of the problems that we have in Haiti
Mm-hmm.
is we have a lot of separation. A lot of people don't understand each other. They
Mm-hmm.
don't live together. When you start with inclusion and an
Mm-hmm.
early age, the kid is growing up in an environment where everyone belongs. When we're talking about inclusion, we're not only talking about kids with special needs. We're talking about every kid should have the same opportunities. And the kids should grow up in an environment where it feel like have the same opportunity. So inclusion is more about creating an environment where any kids can grow up and have success in life. And our education setting in Haiti, if you take for example the Christian Catholic school, they don't do an inclusion at all. Those schools
Mm.
they're doing the inverse of inclusion. So if they have a group of 10 students, they will select those students that are more performant, more brilliant, more intelligent in their term of intelligence. The students that can read
Mm-hmm.
better, do the math, but all those students that have some difficulties during this process will drop out. So we have like an elite that believe they offer everyone. So they are more smart because they went to the best school, because they
Mm.
know more, etc. And you have a lot of people that feel like they have low self-esteem. They feel like if they don't follow that pathway, they will not have
Mm-hmm.
success in life. But when we're talking about inclusion,
Mm-hmm.
what we consider a good school is a school that can help any student. Is a school where any student, independently of their difficulties of learning, disabilities, or disorder, they can fit the school and the school will do adjustment to make that kid success in life. So inclusion for me is creating a better society, because the society that we are living, there's a lot of diversity and we have to embrace that diversity and at an early age so we can love each other.
Yeah.
So you can accept each other, acceptation that this person may be different in many aspects from you, but this
Mm-hmm.
person has value. You may not share the same
Mm-hmm.
value. You have to support this person and this person belong to that society. We can have different point of view, but we still have to work together. And so we already had that difficulty to work together. Even in politics, business, we didn't grow up in a culture where they encourage that You can have a project with other people. Each of those people can add to your vision, and that will make that vision bigger. You understand what I'm saying? So I think
Yeah, I do.
neurodiversity is how you can address different needs. You understand?
Pascal, that's really interesting. I like how you take it back to school, especially the process by which they shortlist who should get into the school. It's about the high performing
Yeah.
student, right? It's probably a practice that is replicated across many other countries
Yeah.
in the world, right? And even when you get into the school, we all compete against each other.
Mm-hmm.
And it can be really hard to get into a working group with people. And we grow up with that mentality that we
Mm-hmm.
are the best and we should always be the best. Whereas what you're saying is we need schools that are more inclusive of
Mm-hmm.
diverse type
Yeah.
of people, because a high performing student or low performing student doesn't necessarily mean they can't work together. It doesn't
Yeah.
necessarily mean that what you call a low performing student cannot bring something to the school and cannot
Yeah.
bring a new perspective. And whilst I was listening to you, I was thinking about something I've learned back in engineering school at the University of Quisqueya. We tend to ask people to fit systems, but we
Mm-hmm.
don't tend to build systems that fit people.
Yeah. This is it.
And I think that's what you are saying, right? And as an industrial engineer, they always say you need to think about the people first and see how you can build a system that fit the people
Mm-hmm.
instead of asking people to fit the system. If you build a system that fits everybody else, so each one of these people will get something out of that system because your system is inclusive.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that should be natural. So if we're thinking about education, we should think about a system of education where everyone fit. You understand?
Yeah.
And while you were talking about high performance and low performance, there's a lot of people that have success in life. They were low performance in high school.
Yeah, true.
So,
True.
but they can low performance in math and French, but high performance in art, music,
Yeah.
and athletics. So there's an American specialist named Howard Gardner. He's talking about multiple intelligence. So
Mm-hmm.
we used to think that to tell someone is intelligent, that person have to be intelligent in math or linguistic. They do the school assessment
Yeah.
about those two things, math and linguistics. So if you're good in math, if you're good in language in general, so you're smart. But you can be on low performance in those two subjects, but still success in life because you have other high performance in other area. So we should think about intelligence that way. Some people with low performance will still have some opportunity if they're really skilled, talented, and something.
Yeah.
If you come from a low income family in Haiti, to change your social status, you have to be really brilliant. You have to be really smart.
I can relate. I can relate.
But when we're thinking about inclusive schools, it's the opportunity for any kids
Yeah.
how we
Yeah.
can support them so they can have success in life. You understand?
I was to say in that, to build on your point, I've always wanted to be a singer. And I remember when I told my
Fantastic.
mom and my dad that I really want to be a singer, they told me you can't leave off that. But when I
Yeah.
said, okay, I'm gonna be an industrial engineer, oh yeah, that's a good thing.
I think if we can make a balance in life, there's a lot of people they living a life that they don't really want to live, but they just
Yeah.
living that life for society. So you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do. And I do understand why some institution in Haiti use measurable skills to shortlist students because it's easy to understand how good someone is from a math, physics, or language, perspective. However, from the conversation we're having, it's also about how open those school leaders are to understand there are other ways to measure someone's intelligence. I did a bit of psychology as an industrial engineer. So we had a class called industrial psychology. So it
Mm-hmm.
was all about understanding the workers on the shop floor.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you track industrial engineering back, it's down to the Toyota production systems in
Mm-hmm.
terms of how blue and red colors used to work.
And we
So
fought
the
and yeah.
yeah, that's the whole thing. So understanding how workers think is really important as an industrial engineer. So
Mm-hmm.
that's why you we had that module named Industrial Psychology. And
Psychology.
one of the key things, and I believe it was a doctor, he was a very famous psychologist in Haiti. I can't remember their name, and I'm sorry about that. One of the key things that he made sure he did during the class, I believe during the first 2 or 3 sessions, he made sure that he understood our intelligence type.
Yeah, perfect.
That's where I came across the different types of intelligence that exist. I
Mm-hmm.
never knew they were so diverse, like perspective intelligence. I think there were around 7-ish.
Yeah,
I can't
seven.
remember.
Yeah,
There were,
yeah.
it was 7. For instance, I really struggle with geometry.
Okay.
Don't ask me to draw stuff. I can't draw stuff. I'm really terrible at it. However, when it comes to thinking about something, that's where I shy. So I believe my intelligence was more about perspective intelligence. So
Okay.
I can imagine stuff, but don't ask me to draw them. That's why if you want me to do something, don't ask me to use my hands. My brain is not able to tell my hands to draw what I'm thinking about, which is very weird. But if you want me to tell you what it is, I can explain it to you. Maybe you'll be able to draw it.
Yeah.
So I think what I'm getting from your story is more about, yes, the schools, they probably prioritize some type of
Yeah.
intelligence so far,
Mostly.
but they need to
Not
be
only
more,
in Haiti, not only I want
not
to mention it's not only in
globally.
Haiti in general.
Yeah.
But there is some in the state in New York and Canada, they are more aware of that. So
Yeah, yeah,
they
yeah.
are searching for other kind of intelligence. But in Haiti we're not aware of that. But in the
No.
other countries they kind of aware of that. So that the reason that you can see a lot of talented people and
Yeah.
success. Yeah.
I was actually going to a next question. Yes, it's good to prioritize different types of intelligence, but from your perspective as a psychologist, what are some practices or approaches you find essential in helping individuals and families rebuild resilience?
As I mentioned in a few minutes ago, I'm working in capitation in an NGO named Children of the Promise. I did the first psychology peace building summit in Haiti. So one thing that we see in Haiti is we repeat violence, the same
Patterns or.
pattern. So we repeating
Mm-hmm.
the same pattern over
Mm-hmm.
again. So I think it's really important that we were talking about intelligence, that we teach kids how to have
Mm-hmm.
emotional intelligence, how to understand their feeling, how to manage their anger, how to respect one's opinion, all those things. But from my experience, there's a lot of violence in Haiti. Domestic violence, abuse, economic violence. So violence is everywhere in Haiti. Everywhere you go. I start to see that it's because we have a really low emotional intelligence.
Mm-hmm.
And this is because we didn't manage well our trauma and stress. Stress is normal. If you don't have stress, you will not progress in life. But what we live in Haiti right now is a chronic stress, something that is more profound. It's something that is really
Mm-hmm.
deep. It's something that is
Mm-hmm.
really repetitive. So we live in a situation where we stress every day, every moment. We don't know what gonna be next, what gonna be
Mm-hmm.
happening, and even
Mm-hmm.
you acting, even where you are now, you stress for your family that is living in Haiti. You are stressed. You will stress if they call you accidentally. Probably something happened. You understand? And what happened for many years, we never address the mental health of the population. So we give money, food, but we don't provide mental health support to those living a traumatic event repetitivity. So it's really important that we focus on how all those events that we are living are impacting those people emotionally. What kind of structure that we can put in place to help those person to express their anger, to express their feeling, to cry, to express their sadness. How we can create an environment in Haiti where people can heal for those traumatic events that they have been living. If we don't do that, unfortunately, we have that possibility that we will keep repeating that violence. Because if you want to change your behavior first, you have to identify what is going on. You have to identify this is what I want to change. We should address the problem by how we can change our way as population to address the challenges that we are facing. What kind of the behavior that we have been seeing during the years? Difficulties to work with each other, difficulties to hold our belief, value, our science. We're gonna work together, even if
Mm-hmm.
I'm not thinking the same way. If we can imagine you and I, we have a kids, we cannot be together, but we can work together as parents. to work with someone, we don't have to love that person. You understand?
Oh
But you
yeah,
have
yeah.
to be able to work with that person, and to be able to work with that person, you have to find a purpose. So and so I think the difficulty that we have been seeing in Haiti is that we never address those trauma. We talk about traumas. We have the earthquake in 2010. That was a big traumatic event. During 1 year, we raised a lot of money. We do some therapy, but nothing consistent. And then we continue with life. We have the death of
Mm,
the president, the kidnapping, people leaving their houses. So we live in an environment with a lot of trauma, with a lot of violence, but we never address that. And a public policy, how we gonna promote mental health? But that should be public policy. That should be in our public policy as something that we're gonna do for the future generation. So we have to restore our mental health in general, because we have been facing a lot of trauma during those years.
yeah.
So we have to start with the new generation by, beside the math, physics, and all those things, introducing in school emotional train, working together, all those things. So we
Mm-hmm.
have to introduce that in the school, in the community also. So we have to work with the community. For example, there's a lot of NGO working in Haiti. They come with their own mindset and program, but they
Mm,
never really address the necessity of those community where they are working. So
yeah.
sometimes a lot of those communities, they become really dependent of that support. So we
Yeah.
don't create people that are independent, people that are really take care of their life, and this they believe that they have to change their life. No, we are building a lot of people with a lot of dependency. We always looking for someone else coming to help us, to give us money. And this is not only the person that is poor, they are
Yeah.
the person in hyper class, they are living from support as well. So you understand, it's really important that as Haitian, we understand that our future is our one responsibility. Our responsibility is to create a greater environment where we can live. That will not never be the
Mm,
responsibility of other person. The way that you want to live is your choice. What you choose to do is your purpose, your behavior, your decision. You understand what I'm saying?
no, I do. I do
Yeah.
understand,
So I think
Pascal.
there's a difference between mental health and mental disorders. Those are two different things. When we're talking about mental health, we're not talking about people that are sick mentally,
Mm,
if we can say
mm-hmm,
that.
mm-hmm.
We're
Yeah.
talking about well-being. We're talking about quality of life. So why people went to go to Canada? Because of the quality of life in general. They have more
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
security.
mm-hmm,
They can go to a park. Their kids can go to school without
mm,
any kind of hurry if they're gonna be able to pick up their kids. There's
yeah.
a lot of person that left Haiti not because they don't have money to live in Haiti. You can have money but still be miserable. So this is mental health. Feeling that you live in a place where you feel peace. Feeling like you live in a place where you can pursue your dream.
Yeah.
So if
Agree.
you don't have those basic things, you don't have a good mental health. So in Haiti right now, you don't have a good mental health. And this is the main reason that a lot of people live in Haiti. It's not because they don't love the country, but it's because that they don't have that peace, that possibility to pursue their dream and to have success in Haiti. So they're looking for that elsewhere. And at the same time, it's really important that we have those discussion, how we can help Haiti,
Yeah.
how we can support and to change that narrative, to do it differently from our predecessor. So I think it's really important that we understand
Mm-hmm.
mental health that way, and to understand that mental health is in everything.
Yeah. I thank you, Pascal. Gaining independence is a way of saying I deserve a better quality of life. And that goes back to how you define mental health.
Hmm?
Okay, let's see the country as a person. It's a lot. What I'm getting from your insight, Pascal. We need to take time to acknowledge that we've been through a lot, that we need to take that break. And that's the breathe part in Embrace, and acknowledge how far we've come as a nation, how far we want to go, and understand that mental health is how we're going to bridge those gaps between where
Yes.
we were
Yeah.
and where we want to be.
Yes.
So
Yes.
it is
Yes.
it is interesting.
Yeah. Because in Haiti, what is normal for us is traumatic event.
Yeah.
right now, if you spend 1 week, if you spend 2 years without instability politic, you will feel that is not normal. So you are waiting. So we always waiting about something gonna happen.
Yeah.
For example, last week, I think it was February 7th. So we anticipating that something should happen. Even nothing happened, but we have that expectation that something will happen. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. So
I see. I see.
we living in that expectation that something bad will happen. So we will not be able to to manage that situation. So as each individual, the majority of us believe that there is no change that is possible in Haiti. That is really unfortunate. If you believe that you're not enough for something, so you will not make a lot of effort to reach the goal. My message to everyone today, we have to believe that we can do things better. We have to understand that we have been traumatized. Me, you, everyone, most of Haitian, we have been traumatized
Yeah.
because we live in a lot of trauma repetitively, not once. So a lot of repetition of trauma, and we never spoke about those things. We never heal. We keep
Yeah.
living saying that we resilient, everything's normal. We become to normal.
Yeah.
But our normal is to repeat those trauma. It's really important that to see mental health as something that can be one of the things that can help Haiti to get better as country. First, we have to advocate for mental health public policy that is really
Yeah.
addressing the mental health of every Haitian. We
Yeah.
have to have that mental health component in the school and the communities
Yeah.
and the business. We
Yeah.
have to think about that. And if we don't think about that, we will keep repeating the same pattern.
So yeah.
Pattern is when when you repeat a behavior.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's really important that we are aware of that. And we did a summit about psychology, building, and we call some historian,
Mm.
sociologists, psychologists, everyone, anthropologists. So we see that as a nation, we go to a lot. We have to stop talking about politics and start talking about us as people
Mm.
affected by those things. How we can heal our parents, our grandparents. So we
Mm-hmm.
have been to a lot. And we start to normalize things that is not normal, but because you keep repeating it, it becomes normal. And
Yeah.
that why I was saying violence is a component of the way that we live and the way that we treat other people. We're talking about quality of life. So the
Yeah.
quality, the acceptation that many people have of their quality of life
Mm.
is not normal. And we know
Yeah.
that as people live in a Western country, we know that is not normal. So I think it's really important that we have those
Yeah.
conversations. And I really enjoy to have that conversation with you. And it's really important that people understand mental health and they can do a difference between mental health and mental disorder. Mental
Yeah.
health is well-being, feeling good, in peace, to pursue your purpose, live your dream, be happy, have fun. So if
Yeah.
you don't have those things, you don't have a good mental health. To everyone, mental health is really important. So we have to care about our mental health. We have to care for ourselves. Self-care is the more important thing. When we're talking about love, you have to love yourself first. You have to
Yeah.
care about yourself. To love other people, you have to first love yourself. You
Yourself.
understand?
Yeah.
So it's really important that we teach that to the kids so the kids start loving their color. So, for example, in Haiti, a lot of Haitians are not proud of their color.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think every color is beautiful. It's how you carry yourself, how you embrace yourself.
yeah,
Okay. That determines the next step. So for me, I think it's a very interesting that you're saying here. And the first step in every mental health journey probably is to understand that you need to love yourself,
yeah.
especially things that you can't really change, right? Can I change the fact that I was born and raised in Haiti?
No,
No, I can't.
you have to
I
accept that.
can never I can
Yeah,
never change it, and I don't want to change that.
yeah.
That's very clear, right? Second, can I change my skin color? Do I want to? No. Because for me it's beyond the skin color. It gives me the most important thing in my life so far. right?
Yeah.
My family, my sisters, my friends,
Your
my
education.
network, my education, right? I'm not judging people because I think it's down to preference. Equally, I really want to advocate for authenticity and self-acceptance.
Important. Mental health.
That's really and
Self
mental
accept.
health, right?
Yeah. So yeah, I think it's really important. Yeah, people can choose what they want, but it's really important that we love ourselves. We love who you are. So it's really important that if you want to do something, you have to be aware of the consequences.
Yeah. And I think we've touched on a lot in terms of, where your passion and purpose for psychology came from and how you've helped communities and people, specifically children in Haiti, to embrace who they are and understand different types of intelligence and make sure that more parents and families understand neurodiversity is something that we need to talk more about because different people come in different shades and they do have different needs and different expectations. You also mentioned things around, the center that you've created with your associate and currently doing amazing. I know it's quite challenging to work on something that is to some extent taboo in a country.
Yeah,
It
you
is.
find the wall. It's tough. Yeah, it's really hard. And to be honest, I was really stressed at the beginning because it was something with a lot of taboo and people don't really understand. Your parents don't really understand. Nobody understands what you're doing. Sometimes, if you want to do things, you can feel alone. If you have a project, if you have an idea, if you have a dream, don't expect that other people should understand your dream or should support your dream. This is your dream. And other people may not understand what you want to do, but you should have a good plan and you should really invest time, effort. Anything is easy in life, but if you put a lot of effort in something, a lot of time in something, and you focus, have a lot of discipline, you will have some success. It's still a taboo, and that has been really difficult for me to build that center and to do everything that I've been doing in psychology and to stay in it, to continue to live with that. We are talking about intelligence and opportunity. In Haiti, not a lot of people have opportunity to choose what they want to do. So we have to understand
Yeah,
our country and the limitation that we have in our country. And we're saying that a lot of people they cannot do anything else because they don't have that opportunity to choose. You understand? If you passionate, the goal should not be the money. The goal should be living your passion. You understand? And if you have a lot of discipline and invest a lot of time and effort, that will pay you back in the future. But if your first
agree.
goal, when you start, you want to have a lot of money now, you have to you have to be open to do a lot of sacrifice. You have to be open to invest a lot of time. Even
Yeah,
you, Daphne, you have to invest a lot of time in your education. You understand? Everyone, you have to invest time in your training to have experience. Things come with time. But never give up, right? Never give up and live your dream. Start when you start questioning what is normal. You understand? So all the technology, everything that we are living now, if people say, "Oh, we're comfortable," we will not have transformation. We not have progress.
yeah.
So I encourage people to questioning what we are doing. The taboo. If you stop questioning, you stop progressing. You stop transforming. You understand what I'm saying?
I understand. And you touched on the question that I was going to ask you in terms of what advice you would give to a young person interested in psychology or community well-being. But I think you've beautifully put it in terms of don't think about the money first, which also I think one of our previous guests mentioned because money is a mean of living. And I think money help create value. But first, you need to think about the value you want to create. And then money will come along the way.
Yeah.
And that's something I stole from academia.
Mhm.
Now, for a psychologist, and I know back in school we used to make that joke about therapists and psychologists to say they're looking after everyone else's well-being, but who is looking after their own well-being? So how do you look after your own well-being, given that you're exposed to very deep, profound stories, right? And how do you get back to yourself?
Yeah, I think it's a really interesting question. I always had to do more than all other people to have what I get in life because I have more challenges to learn than other people. So that feel like I always have a lot of pressure, and sometimes I can feel lonely. You understand? And the other day, I was meeting with someone, and that person was saying, when you are in a leadership position, sometimes you can feel lonely. So because people will not understand every decision that you are making. People will not understand your shows, even your wife, even your wife, your husband, people close to you. Talking with colleague, having a therapy is normal for me
Mm,
to receive some comfort. And I always try to take free time when I can,
mm,
so to relax. I'm in Cape, for example. We can go I to the beach, so I care about myself, so I can manicure, pedicure, massage. You have to
that,
you have to treat yourself
yeah.
very kind, very sweet, very well. And this is something that is part of mental health. Take care of yourself. And searching for support. So a psychologist is a human being. So as a human being, he have feeling, he have challenges. So he need the same support that everyone needs. He will need the same support that everyone needs. He can support you, but at the same time, he as an individual needs support too.
Yeah, great. That is very interesting, Pascal. I like how you connect your passion to what you're doing and acknowledge the fact that you come with stress, you come with pressure for yourself. And you are also acknowledging that it's okay to be vulnerable, talking to someone or go to therapy, which again goes back to what we discussed in terms of things being taboo. If Pascal, as a psychologist, can go to therapy, there is no shame to go to therapy. Now, Pascal, it's been such an inspiration of what it means for leading from a place of purpose and well-being, even though the circumstances around yourself do not necessarily make it easy to move forward. Before we close, what message would you leave with our listeners, especially young women and men who could be aspired to become a psychologist?
I can say psychology is an amazing science where you learn to understand people, the behavior. If you want to success, if you want to have a success in psychology field, you have to focus in something. So you have to specialize yourself in something. If people start seeing you as an expert, they will refer people to you. And so I will encourage people to be more focused, practice a lot of time, because education is a lot of repetition.
Thank you, Pascal. That's very empowering because you acknowledge the fact that it's not a subject that's easy and it is based on science. Another thing that you mentioned is more about making sure that you remain focused on what you really want to do because psychology is broad. There are many aspects of psychology that you can do, but pick the one that is the most interesting to yourself and keep practicing because practice makes perfect, right? So if you remain consistent in that specific field, you will become a master. You'll become an expert in doing this thing. Pascal, thank you so much. We've gone through your story since childhood to your journey with the center that you created back in Haiti, helping children, especially from a neurodiversity perspective. One of the most important things that you also talk about is how you've helped many families in Haiti shift their perspective to the scientifically proven aspect of psychology and give them enough insight into what's going on with their children. What I really like about your journey, Pascal, is how you've never given up because yourself, you experienced some mental difficulties when you were a child, but you've used that as a strength. And today, although you couldn't speak at a very early age in your childhood, but look at it today, you speak at least 4 languages, which are Haitian Creole, French, English, and very fluent in Spanish as well. So for me, this is a very powerful story of someone who has embraced that imperfection. Thank you so much for your time today and sharing your wisdom, your courage, and your strength. And one of the key things that we will take away with us, our future is our responsibility. So, Pascal, thank you so much for your time. And thank you to you, listeners. Was Daphne your host and Pascal Jean Nery, who is a psychologist. Until we come back, please stay with grace. Thank you so much. Thank you, Pascal.